Battle control initialized.
Hello there, comrades and cannon fodder. It's Dvoid here. Hope you're all well. I know it's been a while, so welcome back everyone. I've got a 1v1 multiplayer game for you. We're on Duskwood map for this one. I'm using any faction and got Germany. My opponent chose any faction and got England, so we both had randomly generated factions for us. Now for this map, where you start with your conyard, you've got these sandbags here, so you could complete them with a couple of, just one either side probably. But the first thing I do is I send a couple of riflemen to escort my engineer, capture this oil derrick, and the rest of my 18 rifles I send up here to secure this forward command post, because that's important for this map, for the build. But I class this map as having a single ore patch at the starting location. So if you wanted, you could place 3 refineries there with your standard war factory, 2 refinery war factory build, and then even place your 3rd if you wanted to. But I've actually got a different build order with this map. I actually build 3 refineries before I build my war factory on this one. Now, these 2 rifles are escorting my engineer. I've taken the oil derrick, but my opponent's approaching with some rifles here. And I'm securing the forward command and also trying to keep the engineer safe. So I'm moving forward. Look, I'm not aware that my opponent's actually there. Look, I can't see them. But my engineer's well protected. And, well, as you can see, it's a good job, because they could easily pick him off if he wasn't well covered. I've still got a few rifles at my base, but now I've built 2 ore refineries. Then you need a second power plant. But normally I would build a war factory and place it here. But on this map, I go for a 3rd refinery and place it there with the forward command, which is why I've got it well protected, because it's important for the build and I'm protecting the engineer as well. So, you know, it's an important position, this forward command. It's a bit of view range right through the centre of the map as well. So, and as I'm about to show you, you can build up the view range to cover most of this corner of the map, because I'm escorting the engineer to take this communication centre. But I've got my rifle guards in standard positions, look, covering the edges of the map. Now I'm training rocket soldiers, but I want my infantry up here. So they're moving out. Still need something in your base, a couple of rifles at least, just in case of grenadier attacks or engineers. You've got to have something there. But now I've got my 3rd ore refinery. This is the point I'm building my war factory. So my opponent with a standard build, yeah, they've got 2 refineries and a war factory already. So they're building their 3rd refinery. Now that's a standard build order, 2 ref and a war factory build order. What you call a 2 ref build. Whereas, like I say, I go for a 3rd refinery before I go for my war factory. I'm about to place it now. So the war factory will go here. And then the ore trucks I build can roll straight out of the war factory and start mining ore straight away. Now, after the war factory, I'm going for service depot. I've got this well covered, look, and I've taken the comm centre. This guy has already been up here, and he was looking for engineers, but my opponent was just slightly behind, so I was a bit early with this guy, because when I place rifle guards at the edge of the map, every now and then I send them up and down the map edge to look for enemy engineers. And then, like I say, at this point I was just a few seconds early for this example. My opponent's gone and captured that and then taken this one in the corner as well. And but they've sent their engineer too far. And if you look, it's hard to tell with some colours whether the oil derrick's been captured or not, but it has. So pay attention to your opponent's colour, and if it's a colour that's difficult to notice, there you go, got the engineer. And you'll hear the rifleman rank up to a new veteran level when that happens. So if you hear that at this point, it's likely one of your rifle guards has killed an engineer, and then all you've got to do is look and you'll see that he's got his veteran rank, look. See? So then you'll know that it's probably an enemy engineer. I've got mine safe here, and I've even placed a base defense to cover the forward command. But I build whatever vehicle, scout vehicle's got armour. That's the one I build for my starting army. Now you see I'm sending rifles ahead. because when you send armies out in the field, you don't want to move them around blindly. Send something, at least something, to scout. And at this point, I didn't know that had been captured. I had to select that guy and then see if it was a target symbol approached. And when I saw it was an enemy oil derrick, and I've lost a unit here, so I know the enemy are here, and I knew that was an oil derrick, so these guys have got to go around, look. I've got to go up here and to the edge of the map to avoid being seen. Now my opponent's moving out, and I'm placing my early barracks, because I need, at the early point, before I move to my first expansion, I have 4 barracks, look, and there's 4 here. So now I've got my second MCV built. We should, hopefully, yeah, I've got my ore refinery, my 4th one, that's my first expansion refinery, should be ready by the time this MCV gets to its expansion point. So that's all going well, but my opponent's moving in at the same time. But I am sending some forces, look, and there's a tank slowly making its way. Now, you should always have units in the field. Even from this early point, you should have your starting army, you know, and if it's not stopping the enemy's starting army, because I know the enemy's attacking, they're killing scout units, look. So I've got to fall back and make a proper defence. But when you should always have units in the field. Now, any units you've got in the field, they'll do as an automatic counter-attack unit. So if your opponent attacks you, that's what you use. Any units you've got in the field, use them to immediately counter-attack the enemy. Now, these are on an attack anything move, so they're going to destroy the first buildings they find, and I've got their MCV. But I'm making a decent defence of it. These riflemen, their bullets are bouncing off the tank, so they're effectively out of the battle until they moved away like that. But my reinforcements are arriving, so I'm okay. Now I've taken out the MCV and a refinery, a war factory, a barracks, and a power plant. Now, rather than going for the war factory, I saw the service depot and thought I'd knock that out. And managed to get a last vehicle, and their attack forces retreated, look, but they got a last vehicle out before I took that out. But they did right falling back with the tanks. They'd be dead now, but they can screen these infantry. What you need to do is have them right in front, though. You have to have them directly between your rifles and the enemy, otherwise your tanks don't screen properly. They'll still be getting view range, but they get the view range from the war factory anyway. But they did just wipe out my attack force. I should have retreated. Now, I've had to fall back because they've destroyed my advancing forces, look. I was actually advancing with an MCV, ready for a base push, but with that tank in front, look, you see how crucial that is, having a tank in the right place at the right time, and it's turned that. Now we're at 14 to 8, when we were at 11 each a moment ago. Let's see. Placing barracks, and after I've got my first expansion set up, I build a power plant and 3 more barracks, and that'll give me 7. And you have to admit that, you see, I'm trying to go around to continue my attack, but base defense is clipping my infantry off, clipping away rifles. But I'm bringing my MCV with me for a base push, and I'm going for a pincer attack. Now, I know I'm being attacked because scout units are being hit, and my opponent took out a medic. And the medics, you see I've got the enemy surrounded here, but the medics move more slowly behind other infantry, they move more slowly. So if you see a medic on its own trailing behind or moving along, it's likely that the enemy have got units ahead of it. So it's a warning about where the enemy are. If you see a medic on its own, whatever direction it's going, there may likely be units ahead of it. I've noticed that on Blacken's channel, Blacken's Barracks channel, and he mentioned that, and in the example he mentioned, it showed you there was an enemy army ahead when you went to check. And there was in this case, because the enemy saw a medic up there. But they've gone a unique route and knocked out 3 of my ore trucks, because I sent an eco-transfer at the exact moment the enemy happened to arrive, which is, well, you know, they couldn't hope for anything better, but that's not good for me. Luckily, my refinery is intact, but they're taking my power out. But I've got units here, and I don't want all these. Some of them should be returning to attack the enemy, look. But they're taking out the units I've put in ahead of them. They've taken them out. So now I've turned everything around again, because I'm not aware of the size of this force. You know, I can't tell, look, how big it is. So I don't want to send too few units. So I've sent at least this force back, because you have to send something to attack the enemy while they're busy. And I've got these, and I thought vehicles can catch them up, hopefully. But I've sent my MCV away to save it. I'm nearly lost a power plant, but I've, you know, caught this enemy, taken them all out except for one vehicle, so the rest can turn around and join these guys, hopefully. But these units are moving forward straight away. So, and the engineer's still around. He's moving up here. But you see the solid view range I've got from a few structures and these neutral tech structures. But my units have run into the enemy, and I know without vehicles they can't fight properly. So you don't do that. And if they're not moving up that way, the engineer's not safe. So he's turning around. But yeah, look at the solid view range. With your standard rifle guards, one here and one here, then you need a couple of rifles here together and a couple of rifles here. You've got solid view range to protect the corner of this map. So it's, you know, it's really interesting feature, these tech structures. Enable you to make a solid defense, but my opponent's attacking, plenty of aggression, but they're using an ore truck for screening and spotting. I've got 3 artillery pieces, but the ore truck instead of tanks. So they've got light tanks because I took out the service depot, obviously. But I took a lot of damage. I was down to 2 ore trucks. I'm back up to 3, and my opponent's got 5 though, because I've done some damage of my own. But my opponent's attacking here. There's their ore truck. It's soaking up my pillbox rounds, which is excellent. And they're taking them out with the artillery and infantry, so they've really neutralised what I've got. Very nice. But now I've completely encircled them, and I've got a force attacking and reinforcements. Look at that. My tanks are always in the right position, if you know, as long as I've got control. Your tanks being in a crucial position it's essential. Being in the right position is essential. You've got to have them up front. And now, at this point, I knew. You see, I'm not attacking and sending everything. I'm waiting until I've got more reinforcements, but I knew this is all they're holding me with. It's over. Because I saw that right in front of me, their defence is broken. And they've given me access to all this, which is, you know, I've got them. After the damage I did here, that's it for them. And now I know I can steamroller and crush them. Very nice. A few medics working, and my opponent's called it. There you go. Very good. So my opponent did well. I like the aggression. It was good. And they caught me out nicely, destroying 3 ore trucks there. Because I sent my eco transfer to arrive at the exact moment that their attack came from here and moved down. They had a bit of a skirmish here, and then moved down and got my eco transfer. So that was a bit of a threat because I ended up with very little cash, and I didn't recover either properly. That's what I'm in the process of doing, because that's why I haven't gone for thieves or any tech, because at the moment I'm trying to replace my economy. I had to place another refinery here to get an ore truck, and that's basically a spare refinery, although I would have sold this one rather than that one because of the position it's in. But I've got another one there. There's an ore truck there mining. And this guy, this ore truck mined for the whole game from this starting patch. Having 3 ore mines, you know, it's essential to hold on to that if you can, because you'll get over the whole game. The longer the game goes on, the more useful it gets. And also this one, the jewels that grow keep a nice steady little bit of cash trickling in. And then I'm obviously setting up here, and if we should have, yeah, I've got a refinery on the build. So I need that, but you know, not long ago I called everything in, so even my rifle guards are out of position. But I was confident that at that point, a few minutes ago, that the pressure was more valuable than a couple of rifle guards being in place. You know, they should have expanded here at least. They should have expanded more, but they did take the oil derrick in the corner, which I didn't even think about. So I'll go through the graphs and charts and that. There's the army graph. So my opponent started to increase in army value more quickly than I was. It's minute 6, but luckily the engagement started early and they declined. But there are a couple of spikes here in army value for them, look, even late in the game, which is quite impressive considering the pressure they were under. But it was a decline, whereas mine was an increase. You see our army values have spiked there, look. Both at the sort of the same rate. But I had a larger army when I did it, which is always good. You know, that's always best. But here's the earnings. Yeah, my opponent had a more steady income because of obviously the damage they did, leaving me with 2 ore trucks by taking out 3 here, left me with 2, they left me with 1 there, and that's it. So it was an excellent strike. They couldn't have hit me anywhere better, really, with that attack. But they should have hit, hit me in other places. Their aggression came through the centre mainly. So just having a few units warned me, in the right position, warned me and enabled me to bring back what I needed. And with what I was training and building, it was enough to hold off any aggression because it got weaker and weaker, sadly. But there's the earnings graph for you. There's my army. Plenty of rifles, some rockets, a few medics. The engineer's still alive. There he is. Good old engineer. And some medium tanks. So it's a basic army. I've got 19,000 army value. I've got 25% vision with these neutral tech structures and my army. Not bad. I lost 8 structures. My opponent lost 19. I killed 237 units. My opponent killed 151. I destroyed 61,000 credits worth of my opponent's assets. My opponent got 35,000 credits worth of mine. No support powers in effect, as, like I say, I was struggling getting my economy back on track. That was my main priority when it came to building. You see, you got that ore refinery under production. That was my priority, and I still didn't recover. I've only got 4 ore trucks and a little bit of cash, but it was enough to keep the war machine going. It was enough. We both earned 70,000 credits, which is interesting, but very close. And I spent 75, my opponent spent 68, because they've got over 6.5 grand left. And it's always best spent on assets to have on the ground rather than have numbers in the bank. There's no use having that there. It's always better spent, just how it is. If they didn't get time to spend it or didn't have the production speed to spend it, then fair enough, but it's always better spent. That's the bottom line. 25 actions per minute, a nice relaxed pace for me. My opponent was at a more rapid 40 actions per minute, so they were more, speedy. But we all have our own play speed. It's all good. Score 612 to me, 354 to my opponent, and there's all your stats and graphs and charts. So I hope you enjoyed that one. If you did, give us a sub and a like, and I've been playing more often than I have been recently, so should hopefully be more content, and then I'll get posting more regularly again, and see you more soon. See you soon, and see you more often, say. So thank you very much for watching. Take good care of yourselves, and for now, thank you very much, and goodbye.
Battle control terminated.